Good evening. I am your host, Old Iron Lungs. You are tuned in to another episode of The Trench Lines. Today's episode, we will be discussing the holiest of holies, the most important document in the land. I am talking, of course, the United States Constitution. Now, there's a lot of verbiage that's a little different than we're used to in this document. It's a pretty big document, so I am going to break this down into two parts. We'll do the amendments first, then we'll do the articles in the second part. For Memorial Day weekend, I figured that this was the right direction to head in. Let's dig into this. The amendments of the United States Constitution as ratified by the states, the preamble to the Bill of Rights. Congress of the United States began and held at the city of New York on Wednesday, the 4th of March, 1789. The convention of a number of states having at the time of their adopting the Constitution expressed a desire, in order to prevent misconstruction or abuse of its power, that further declaratory and restrictive clause should be added, and as extending the grounds of public confidence in the government with best ensured the benefit of its institutions. Resolved by Senate and House Representatives of the United States of America, and Congress assembled 2/3 of both House concurring, that the following articles to be proposed to legislators of several states as amendments of the Constitution of the United States, all or any of which articles, when ratified by 3/4 of said legislators, to be valid to all intent and purposes as part of the Constitution. Articles in addition to amendments to the Constitution of the United States proposed by Congress and ratified by legislators of several states pursuant of 5th Articles of the original Constitution. Note, the first 10 amendments of the Constitution were ratified December 15th, 1791, and formed what is known as the Bill of Rights. So let's dig into the amendments. Amendment 1. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise therefor, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people to peacefully assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievance. Amendment 2. A well-regulated militia being necessary to secure a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Amendment 3. No soldier shall in a time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in a time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. Amendment 4. The right of the people to be secure in their person, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. No warrant shall be issued upon probable cause. Warrants shall be issued upon probable cause, supported by oath and affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the person or things to be seized. Amendment 5. No person shall be held for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless a presentment or an indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in land or naval forces, or in the militia, when in actual service of time or war public danger. Nor shall any person be subject to the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall compelled in any criminal case to be witnessed against themselves, nor be deprived of life, liberty, property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Amendment 6. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, to be informed of the nature and the cause of the accusations, to be confronted with witnesses against him, to have a compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor and to have the assistance of counsel in his defense. Amendment 7. In suits at common law where the value of the controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of common law. Amendment 8. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel or unusual punishment inflicted. Amendment 9. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. Amendment 10. The power not delegated by the United States Constitution nor prohibited in the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Then we're going to get into the Amendments 11 through 27. Amendment 11, passed by Congress March 4th, 1794, ratified February 7th, 1795. Note, a portion of Article 3, Section 2 of the Constitution was modified by the 11th Amendment. Articles will be done in Part 2. The judicial power of the United States shall not construed to extend any suit in law or equity, commerce, or prosecuted against one of the United States citizens from another state, or a citizen or subject of any foreign state. Amendment 12, passed by Congress December 9th, 1803, ratified June 15th, 1804. Note, a portion of Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution was changed by the 12th Amendment. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president, one of whom at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state within themselves. They shall name in their ballot the person voted for as president. In a distinct ballot, the person voted for as vice president. They shall make a distinct list of all persons voted for as president and all persons voted for as vice president, and for all the numbers voted for each, which list shall be signed and certified, transmitted, sealed to the seats of government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate shall, in presenting of the Senate and House Representatives, open all certifications, and votes shall then be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes for president shall be president, if such a number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed. If no person shall have such majority, then from the persons having the highest number not exceeding 3 on the list of those voted for as president, the House Representatives shall choose immediately by ballot the president. But in choosing the president, votes shall be taken by states, the states representing from each state having 1 vote. A quorum for this purpose shall consist of a member or members from 2/3 of states. The majority of states shall be necessary to choose, and if House Representatives shall not choose a president whenever the right of choice shall be divulged upon them before the 4th day of March next following, then the Vice President shall act as President in the case of death or other constitutional disabilities of the President. The person having the greatest number of votes as Vice President shall be Vice President, if such a number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed. If no person has majority, then from the 2 highest numbers on the list, the Senate shall choose the Vice President. A quorum for proposed shall consist of 2/3 of the whole Senate, and the majority of the whole number shall be necessary to choose. No person constitutionally ineligible to be office of president shall be eligible to be that of vice president of the United States. And then there's a little asterisk at the bottom that says superseded by Section 3 of the 20th Amendment, which we will get to the 20th Amendment sooner or later. Amendment 13, passed by Congress January 31st, 1865, ratified December 6, 1865. Note, a portion of Article 4, Section 2 of the Constitution was changed by the 13th Amendment. Section 1. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for crimes whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Section 2. Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Amendment 14, passed by Congress June 13, 1866, ratified July 9, 1868. Note, Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution was modified by Section 2 of the 14th Amendment. Section 1. A person born or nationalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction, therefore, are citizens of the United States and of the state where they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or the immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, property without due process of law, nor deny any person within jurisdiction in equal protection of the laws. Section 2. Representatives shall be appointed among several states according to their representative numbers, counting the whole number of persons in each state, including Indiana, not taxed. But when the right to vote to any election for the choice of electors for president and vice president, representatives in Congress, the executive and judicial officers of a state, or members of legislators, therefore, is denied to any of the male inhabitants of such states being 21 years of age, and citizens of the United States, or in any way abridging, except for participation in rebellion or other crimes, the basis of representation, therefore, shall be reduced in the proportions which the number of such male citizens shall bear to whole number of males 21 years of age in such states. Section 3. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elected president or vice president or hold any office, service, or military under the United States or any other state whom have previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as a member of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies therefore, but Congress may, by vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disabilities. Section 4. The validity of public debt of the United States, authorization by law, including debt incurring for payment of pension and bounties for services in suspending insurrection and rebellion, shall not be questioned, but neither the United States nor any state shall assume or pay any debt or obligation incurred in aid of insurrection or rebellion against the United States, or any claim for loss or emancipation of any slaves, but all such debt, obligations, and claims shall be held illegally and void. Section 5. The Congress shall have the power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article, changed by Section 1 of the 26th Amendment. We move on to the 14th Amendment, passed by Congress February 26, 1869, ratified February 3, 1870. Section 1. The right of the citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied, abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Section 2. The Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. I'm sorry, that was Amendment 15. I knew I was off. Amendment 16, passed by Congress July 2nd, 1909, ratified February 3rd, 1913. Note, Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution was modified by the 16th Amendment. The Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes on income from wherever sources derive, without apportionment among several states, and without regard to any census or enumeration. Amendment 17, passed by Congress May 13, 1912, ratified April 8, 1913. Note, Article 1, Section 3 of the Constitution was modified by the 17th Amendment. The Senate of the United States shall be comprised of 2 senators for each state, elected by people therefore for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. The electors in each state shall have qualifications and requisite for electors for most numerous branches of the state legislature. When vacancy happens in representation of any state in the Senate, the executive authority of such state shall issue writs of election to be filled for such vacancy, provided that the legislators of any state may empower the executive, therefore, to make a temporary appointment until the people have filled the vacancy by election as legislators may direct. This amendment shall not be construed as to affect the election or term of any senator chosen before it became valid as a part of the Constitution. Amendment 18, passed by Congress December 18, 1917, ratified January 16, 1919. And then repealed by the 21st Amendment December 5th, 1933. Section 1. After 1 year from the ratification of the article, the manufacture, sales, and transportation of intoxicating liquor within the importation into the exportation, therefore, from the United States and all territories shall be subject to jurisdiction, therefore, from beverages proposed and hereby are prohibited. So this was the amendment that brought about the prohibition of alcohol. So, which, as I just read, was repealed by the 21st Amendment, which we'll get to in a couple minutes. So I'm not going to read the other 2 sections. Obviously, it doesn't matter. Amendment 19, passed by Congress June 4th, 1919, ratified August 18th, 1920. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. It's actually amazing going through this, and you could just, knowing the history of this country, you could see the history in the articles and in the amendments as time progresses through this, how we've changed, how we grow, how we learn. Amendment 20, passed by Congress March 2nd, 1932, ratified January 23rd, 1933. Note, Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution was modified by Section 2 of this amendment. In addition, a portion of the 12th Amendment was superseded by Section 3. Section 1. The term of President and Vice President shall end at noon on the 20th day of January, and the term of Senator and Representative at noon on the 3rd day of January of the year in which such terms would have ended. If this article had not been ratified, the terms of their successors shall then begin. Section 2. The Congress shall assemble at least once every year, and such meeting shall begin at noon on the 3rd day of January, unless they shall by law appoint a different day. Section 3. If at the time fixed for the beginning of the term of President, the President-elect shall have died, the Vice President-elect shall become President. If a President shall not have been chosen before the time fixed for the beginning of his term, or if the President-elect shall have failed to qualify, then the Vice President-elect shall act as President until a President shall have been qualified, and the Congress may by law provide for such a case wherein neither a President-elect nor a Vice President shall be qualified, declaring who shall then act as President, or the manner in which one is to act shall be selected, and such a person shall act accordingly until a President or Vice President has been qualified. Section 4. The Congress may by law provide for the case of the death of any person from whom the House of Representatives may have chose a president whenever the right of choice shall have been divulged upon them, and for the case of the death of any person from whom which the Senate may choose a vice president whenever the right of choice shall have been divulged upon them. Section 5 states, Section 1 and 2 shall take effect on the 15th day of October following the ratification of this article. Section 6. This article shall be inoperative unless it shall have been ratified as an amendment to the Constitution by legislators of 3/4 of several states within 7 years from the date of its submission. Amendment 21, passed by Congress February 20th, 1933, ratified December 5th, 1933. Section 1. The 18th article of amendments of the Constitution of the United States is hereby repealed. The prohibition. Section 2. The transportation and importation into states, territories, or possession of the United States for delivery or use therein of intoxicating liquors in violation of the law is hereby prohibited. Section 3. This article shall be inoperative unless it shall have been ratified as an amendment by the Constitution by a convention of several states as provided in the Constitution within 7 years of the date of submission to the Congress. Seeing as we can all drink, we know how that went. Amendment 22, passed by Congress March 21st, 1947, ratified February 27th, 1951. Section 1. No person shall be elected into office more than twice. No person who has held office of president or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term to which some other person was elected shall be elected to the office of president more than once. But this article shall not be applied to any person holding the office of president when the article was proposed by Congress, and shall not prevent any person who may be holding the office of president or acting as president during the term in which the article became operative from the holding office of president or acting as president during such a remainder of the term. Section 2. This article shall be inoperative unless it shall have been ratified as an amendment to the Constitution by legislators of 3/4 of several states within 7 years of its submission to the United States Congress. Amendment 23, passed by Congress June 16, 1960, ratified March 29, 1961. Section 1. The district constituting the seat of government of the United States shall be appointed in such a manner as Congress may direct. A number of electors of president and vice president equal to the number of senators and representatives in Congress to which the districts would be entitled if it were a state, but in no event more than at least populous state. They shall be in addition to those appointed by the states, but they shall be considered for the purpose of the election of the president and vice president to be the electors appointed by the state. They shall meet in the district and perform such duties as provided by the 20th article of the amendment. Section 2. Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Amendment 24, passed by Congress August 27, 1962, ratified January 23, 1964. Section 1. The right of the citizens of the United States to vote in any primary or other election for vice president or president, for electors for president or vice president, or for Senate or for senators or representatives in Congress shall not be denied, abridged by the United States or any state by reason of failure to pay poll taxes or other taxes. Section 2, the Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Amendment 25, passed by Congress July 6, 1965, ratified February 10, 1967. Note, Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution was modified by the 25th Amendment. Section 1. In cases of removal of President from office or of his death or resignation, the Vice President shall become President. Section 2. Whenever there is a vacancy in office of Vice President, the President shall nominate a Vice President who shall take office upon confirmation by the majority of votes of both House and Congress. Section 3. Whenever the President transmits to the President pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives his written declaration that he is unable to discharge the power and the duty of his office, and until he transmits to them a written declaration to the contrary, such powers and duties shall be discharged by the Vice President as acting President. Section 4. Whenever the Vice President and the majority of either the principal officers of the executive department or such other bodies of Congress may by law transmit to the President pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration that the President is unable to discharge the powers of duty of his office, the Vice President shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office as acting President. Therefore, when the President transmits the President's pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives written in his declaration that no inability exists, he shall resume his powers and duties of office unless the Vice President and the majority of the principal officers of executive department or such other bodies of Congress may by law transmit within 4 days of the President's pro tempore of Senate and Speaker of the House their written declaration that the President is unable to discharge the powers of duty. Thereupon Congress shall decide the issue, assembling within 48 hours for the purpose, if not in session, if the Congress within 21 days after receiving the letter written declaration, or if Congress is not in session within 21 days after Congress is required to assemble, determined by 2/3 of votes for both House that the President is unable to discharge powers and duties of his office, the Vice President shall continue to discharge and act as President. Otherwise, the President shall resume his powers and duties of office. Amendment 26, passed by Congress March 23rd, 1971, ratified July 1st, 1971. Note, Amendment 14, Section 2 of the Constitution was modified by Section 1 of the 26th Amendment. Section 1 states, the right of the citizens of the United States who are 18 years or older to vote shall not be denied, abridged by the United States on the account of age. Section 2, Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Amendment 27, originally proposed September 25th, 1784, ratified May 7th, 1992. Wow, that's quite the period of time. No law varying the compensation for service of the senator and representative shall take effect until an election of representatives shall have intervened. And there you have it, folks. That is 27th Amendment. That's all of the amendments. That is the amendments, the Bill of Rights, your rights, my rights, the rights to everyone in this country. Very, very important document. I'll put a link for it in the description below so you could read it, because the verbiage is very weird, and I had a difficult time reading it. I had to go over it a couple times, and I still messed up. So definitely read it, go over it, Inform yourself, inform your children, inform your neighbors, because this document is what protects us. It keeps us safe, it keeps us free, it keeps us able to speak our minds, it keeps us able to love one another and to show and express and share ideas to one another. Whether or not you disagree, that's not the point. The point is being able to do this. That's what makes this country so great. That's what makes this land so great. That's what makes everyone in the world want to come here. So, understand it. Spread it. It's important information. I hope that you have a happy and wonderful Memorial Day. I hope you thank a veteran. And I also hope that you grab a shovel and dig in, because we're not going anywhere and the fight starts here, and I'll see you in the next trench line.